Simon Woodhouse is a chef on a mission. He's renovating an old fishing boat which he's about to sail to France to learn more about French cuisine. His goal is to arrive in Paris and open the boat as a restaurant. This is the story of the floating kitchen. It's 11:30 in the evening in Littlehampton, and Simon Woodhouse has a huge decision to make. Can he risk taking Water Lily 100 miles across the English Channel right now?
Well, it's make or break time. I'm broke and I've got no money and I've got no time, and if I'm going to go to France and do this restaurant thing, I've got to go today. So it's not an option anymore. Got to do it.
The tide's in his favour and so is the weather, but can Water Lily's hull withstand a 17-hour trip in open seas for the first time in 37 years?
It's a bit asking a lot, really, of lady luck.
It's a massive risk, but the engine seems to be working well. And there's a support boat following in case of disaster.
We're just confirming that we're going the same place, me and him. Just checking if that's where we're going. We're coming from over here. This is the English Channel. That's where we're headed.
As Simon heads out of the harbour, all checks are made. And it's now or never. Four hours into the crossing and things start to go horribly wrong. The sea's getting rougher in open water and now there's a leak. Water is coming in at an alarming rate and they're slap bang in the middle of the English Channel at night. It's touch and go. Everyone's starting to fear the worst.
Update, okay. Well, we've got a killer leak on our stern post, which is always our worry on this boat. But it was always going to be a trial and a test. We were always against the clock. We were always going to get in the shit. And here we are. The Water Lily's been sat for 2 weeks now, nice and calmly on a still river. Now she's getting a bit of a kicking up her bum and she's crying a bit.
If the water gets into the engine, then it could stop altogether, leaving Water Lily adrift in one of the busiest shipping channels in the world. And his electric pump can't control the leak. So instead, Simon has to bail the water out himself. It's taken him 2 hours. Now he's totally exhausted and falls asleep. It's now 8 hours into the crossing, and as dawn breaks, Simon's beginning to feel that he might just make it.
How nice is that to see the sun, eh? That's been a long night to see the sun just... yeah, that just makes it feel a little bit safe again. If we got no further than this, well, I think we could still be proud, which is an excellent thing. Just to get this boat going after 30, 40 years, to drive it under our own power, it's just phenomenal, phenomenal.
Incredibly, Water Lily has withstood a bruising encounter through one of the busiest shipping channels in the world, and at night. Now Simon can spot land. It's a glorious sight.
France! I can smell the food. Cooking.
With his troubles hopefully behind him and French food now at the top of his list, Simon has finally made it to France. He's now moored Water Lily at Valery-sur-Somme, the start point for 400 miles of idyllic French waterways and his ultimate goal of a floating restaurant in Paris. Despite the ordeal of the crossing and lack of sleep, Simon's raring to go. He's got some serious repairs to do after the battering Water Lily took 24 hours earlier.
For her age, and the abuse we've thrown at her, and the lack of respect we've shown her, she's in remarkably good fettle. Oh.
Pete, who helped Simon renovate the boat in England, has come out to help him. And Simon's got more worries ahead. The canals and, more crucially, the locks.
The challenges now as far as boat handling are actually bloody scary. The stats on this thing, she's 4.9 metres wide. The locks are 5 metres wide. That gives me that each side. No room for fenders.
But there's still the question of that devastating leak in the hull. Unless that's fixed, he's not going anywhere. Frustratingly, the water's still coming in at an alarming rate.
Oh, she's 70 years old and these two timbers are probably shot. Now, when the engine fires up and starts running, they jiggle apart and the wood is coming in at a rate of knots.
It's leaking through the bottom planks, and when the engine's on, the vibration makes it worse. So he's chiselling a hole in order to put in some large coach screws.
I'm getting bored of this boat leaking.
Once tightened up, they should pull the stern post tighter and stop the leak. It's a temporary solution.
It seems to be that things keep going wrong. Well, hey, she is an old boat, and that is the case. That's the way it's going to be. Then I think that we haven't even fitted a water system to this yet, and I haven't even started on a kitchen, and yet I'm spending a day having to solve this sort of stuff.
Sick of working on the boat, Simon decides to get out into the fresh air and think about cooking a slap-up meal.
Well, that's the first find, is a bit of bloody lovely wild mint.
He's searching for anything growing wild by the canal path.
This is going to be a blaze of yellow when it gets its heads and its flowers up.
So to celebrate their first night in France, Simon's decided to rustle up their first dinner.
I've been so looking forward to this moment, actually. This feels like I'm cooking in France at last, which is the point.
He's cooking ling, which is a type of cod found in these waters, and it makes a great hearty fillet. To this, he's adding fresh mussels and crevettes. And to go with this, he's making couscous infused with lime juice and mint. And of course, who can forget the champagne? It's a dish to celebrate a truly remarkable crossing. Simon and Pete can't help savouring every mouthful. One of the world's greatest food delicacies is just over the estuary in Valery-sur-Somme. And now that Simon is in France, his mission is to find out as much as he can about local produce so that he can begin researching his menu for the opening of the restaurant.
If you're going to be into food, you've got to be into it all the way, and this is about getting to the base of it, or the root of it.
Salt marsh lamb is unique. The sheep here graze on grass covered by salt water at high tide. This combination produces an extraordinary succulent taste. Simon's discovered a shepherd whose family have been working the salt marshes for generations.
His life must be so different to mine. I mean, just this stunning, stunning view. I work in stinking hot kitchens, you know, but the grass is always greener on the other side. He probably hates it when it's raining.
Roland Watron knows the secret of how salt marsh lamb is produced. This is the start of the unique food chain that ends up in some of the finest restaurants in the world. Simon's never seen so many sheep.
How far from a supermarket can you get? This is the food chain. This is where it's at. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Roland. Simon. Ça va?
Hello.
Oui. C'est formidable. Before I came to France, I heard so much in all my research about the salt marsh sheep, and here I am looking at them. But what is it that makes them so special?
C'est-à-dire que les moutons présalés, c'est des moutons qui pâturent en baie de Somme sur des pâturages qui sont recouverts pendant 4-5 jours pendant les grandes marées. L'herbe, il y a le sel qui se dépose dessus et ça donne un goût à la viande. Elle est plus rouge. Dans les fibres de la viande, il y a des petites graisses qui sont à l'intérieur et quand vous faites cuire la viande est plus moelleuse.
Okay. You must obviously eat this lamb, probably the best. How do you cook it?
Moi, je l'aime bien naturel, si vous voulez.
Naturellement, oui.
Il y a des gens qui aromatent, ou enfin n'importe, qui mettent des arômes ou n'importe pour donner un goût. Moi, j'aime bien manger la viande, sentir le goût naturel de la viande, si vous voulez.
But Roland has one last thing to show Simon. Unusual herbs grow freely on the salt marshes, and they're the perfect combination for salt marsh lamb.
This is it.
Ça licorne.
C'est corn, oui. Non, moi, samphire, mais le même. This is the business. This is the samphire, the marsh samphire. I know this so well from the Solent. You know, it's a funny thing that if I meet 200 people on this journey and each person teaches me one thing, then I'll go away enriched. And just that, there you go, I've learned something.
So at last, Simon has begun his French food journey. Now he needs to get water lily through the locks and into the canal system so that he can start making his way to Paris. Simon's never navigated locks before, and Water Lily is a 30-ton boat waiting to hit a very large concrete wall. Pete and Simon have gone up to have a nervous look at what they're facing.
The trick is to come under this bridge at just the right time, so that I don't clout my head, my roof, but I'm over the rocks underneath. So I need to get information from the lock keepers as to exactly what time I come through. And what will make the difference to me is how many other boats are inside. If there's a melee of boats trying to get through, and I'm trying to circle Water Lily, and they're not helping me, then...
It's going to be a white-knuckle ride. After barely surviving the Channel crossing, can Simon now get through his first lock unscathed and start his epic journey to Paris?